in Mortal Instruments, I cut Tony off, which Shannon says I do all the time. And Tony was about to
Dan
tell
doesn't listen. You don't listen to me because you've got your plot points that you're getting to in the show, and I try to throw things out all the time. And listen, I get 80% of my stuff through, and it's a lot of stuff. So I don't blame you. If we listened to everything I did, we'd have an 8-hour show. So you got to keep it on track. That's your job as the producer. You got to keep us on a schedule. So I get it. I'm not mad about it.
It's funny because I go back and watch them sometimes, and you'll be like, da 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 da. I'll just like look down and I'll be like, and then the puppets walked into the room.
Care. It's just noise. It's just noise to you.
It's not that I don't care. I just know we've got so much to get to.
It's just noise. I get it.
If we just lean back in our rocket chairs, I remember when. Okay, so Tony, I cut Tony off unceremoniously, and he's about to tell a hyper relevant story.
It was hyper relevant. This situation happened to me. It was my first love. So I'm going to set the scene just a little bit, which was it was the scene where the nerdy guy tells the main girl that he's in love with somebody, and she's like, "Who? I have no idea," but she damn well knows. Yeah. So I was in it must have been 7th grade. This was back in the day of AOL Instant Messenger, folks, if you remember those days. And there was this young lady. I'm going to leave names out of it. I know she doesn't listen to this, but other people might. And I was infatuated with her. I mean, we were all infatuated with her. She was in our friend group. She was kind of a big deal. And we were aiming, as they used to call it, AOL Instant Messenger. And she was prodding me about who I liked, even though she knew damn well that it was her. And so after like 20 minutes, they're just being like, just tell me. I started thinking in my head, I was like, oh, wait, she's baiting me because she likes me too. Now, let me tell you, Dan, that is almost never the case. Don't, guys, if you're on that track, it's not it. She's not trying to get that to happen. She does not have feelings for you. What she's either doing is deflecting, because she does know, and she's like, I got to get out of this conversation. I don't know what to do, so I'll just pretend I don't understand. Or she genuinely doesn't know, and when you tell her, it's going to get fucking awkward, which is what happened. It was number 2. So I told her on AIM, and then silence, dead silence for about 3 minutes. I was like, I got it. I logged off. I logged off in a panic. I said sorry, and then logged off. Saw her at school the next day. She wouldn't even look at me. And I was like, oh my God, I've ruined my entire life. But then, a week later, she started talking to me again and just pretended it never happened. And at that point, I was smart enough to go, me too. Never happened. I do not like you. We are back in the friend zone, baby. Hey, watch him with Dan and Tony. Hey, watch him.
Welcome to Hey Watch It with Dan and Tony. I'm Dan.
I'm Tony.
We're the guys that wear purple and talk about movies.
Yeah.
Continuing with Halloween, I chose a Halloween movie from
an actual horror movie, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Goodsell did it.
I don't know if I'm going to agree with you on that.
Oh, okay, but it's categorized as a horror movie. At least it's that. If you go to the IMDb page, it says horror on the thing.
Yes,
that's good.
Yes, I picked from the storied Puppet Master franchise, Puppet Master X: Axis Rising, which turns out to be the middle
of a trilogy
of 3 Nazi-related movies. And, so the beginning of the movie, they're like basically talking about everything that happened in the last movie. And then they have this movie where basically almost nothing happens.
Almost nothing.
and then the movie ends. And you're like, hour and 26 minutes, 2012.
Not that long ago, really, in the scheme of things.
No. And the first Puppet Master movie came out in 1989, which was 23 years before this movie.
And you have not seen it, right?
No, I haven't seen any of the other ones.
Okay. Well, are you going to say something?
But I did read the synopsis of the first one because I tried to understand why they'd be going to Nazis. And there are some things in there that it starts in 1939. That's when the dude was there. So there's hints that could be a direction you could head in.
there, there's hints, sure. Like, I mean, yes, in the first one, in the opening scene, Andre Toulon, whatever his name is, offs himself because Nazis are coming to try to grab his dolls.
There it is.
Grab his dolls. But here's what's confusing. Listen, Dan, I went down a rabbit hole this week. I tried. My plan was to watch all 14. There are 14 total movies. That was my plan. I did not make it to 14. I only made it to 5. And then I was like, I am losing my mind right now. They are great. All of these movies are bananas, but they started that way. That's what's so weird to me, is it's not like a horror franchise that kind of splintered towards the end and was like going crazy. It started batshit and it just kept it up. It's just wild stuff. But what's confusing is they start as villains.
Yeah.
And then by the time you get to like halfway through 3, they kind of turn into the heroes of the story. And then apparently they're just the heroes the rest of the time. And that is not how a horror movie works. I don't know if you know this, but we usually don't follow evil things as the protagonist. It's very confusing. There are no horror elements to this movie, is what I'm saying.
I mean, there's fractional, tiny flashes. They're more like science fiction, fantasy.
Yeah, it's
adventure.
It's less horror than Small Soldiers. Remember that movie? Which is a similar storyline where toys come to life and torture people. But at least they're the bad guys in that one.
They torture people?
Well, I mean, they attack kids. They're like attacking the kids, and the kids have to survive.
Do they murder a lot of kids?
It's like Evil Toy Story. I don't think they actually hurt any kids in the end. I think all the kids survived. They might get an adult or two, but
boo.
It's fun though.
Yeah. So I mean, the way that they have to blend puppets interacting with humans, basically. Anytime you're taking the puppets into action, the humans pack them into backpacks, carry them, then unpack them out of backpacks, and then
set them free.
Puppets maybe make one tiny action.
From what I could tell, as the franchise went on, the puppets did less and less and less. And in this one, they do almost nothing.
They do almost nothing.
In one scene, they take out the puppets, don't use them, and then put them back in at the end of the scene. And I was like, why did we even take them out of the bag? Just leave them in the bag.
And there's the one scene where they have to explain to 2 of the puppets that they're not bringing them along for no reason.
Right.
It's like, you guys are staying here. You're not coming along on the adventure. No reason why we're leaving you here.
They're too hard to animate. The claymation's too hard on you two. We're leaving you behind.
It's not claymation. It's... There's no claymation in this movie.
Is it stop motion? I can't tell.
No, it's not even stop motion. It's.
Are you saying they're actually using them as marionettes?
They're not marionettes, but they're probably they probably have rods sticking up on them that control them, and
that's not a marionette. That's a real question. I have no idea.
Okay, what a.
Let's delve into the history of puppets.
Typical. Hand puppet, use your hand, manipulate it that way. So basically, you're manipulating it from below in some way, right? And these are being manipulated from below in some way through rods or things like that. And then, like if the eye, not that the eyes move on. Well, the eyes moved on the werewolf one. That was the one surprising thing in this movie where you're like, oh, the werewolf's eyes open and close. That's kind of incredible. Why
I've got a few other surprises, Dan.
Like of all the puppets, that's the puppet the puppet that literally does Jester literally does nothing in the movie.
He spins his head.
Shannon's like, what was that red-haired puppet? I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, the one with the red hair. I'm like, you mean the Jester puppet? She's like, no, it had red hair. I don't
think so.
So I pulled a picture of it. She's like, oh, the hat. Yeah, I thought that was red hair. I'm like,
oh, the hat. Yep.
The hat. I don't know what I was talking about. Oh, so then there's a marionette. And what a marionette is a puppet that's on strings from above. So you manipulate him and it goes like this.
I got no strings on me.
Pinocchio classic marionette. I don't think any of these were done with strings.
Let me tell you why I think I'm confused. Is because in in all the flashbacks in the older movies, he's using them as marionettes.
Oh, sure.
So I think that's where that comes
So
from.
he built them as marionettes. That makes sense.
Yeah, but then they were also alive the whole time, and he was just pretending they were. I don't know. It's very strange stuff.
Well,
Dan.
no, I mean he probably made marionettes, and then he injected the fluid into them, and then they came to life, and he no longer needed to marionette them.
But he still did. That's what's confusing, is that he still put on marionette shows. So it like looks, he fakes it, but they're actually doing all the actions. And then they would go backstage and he'd be like, great show today, guys. I'm really proud of you. It's fucking weird, dude.
He'd give them like pep talks post show.
Yeah, he talks to them all the time and he loves them. He loved them so much, Dan. It's all so weird. Well, it's a wild ride.
But they kill bad people in that first movie. They kill a bunch of psychics and stuff that are evil, right?
Whoa! First of all, psychics aren't bad people, Dan. Don't generalize the psychic community as evil.
But in that first,
they're all good.
Oh, really?
Well, okay, you're right. No, the first one, they're all kind of shady characters because they were all in business together, but they all were like kind of bad. And then one guy got greedy and then killed them all with the puppets.
Yeah.
Because he was the puppet master. But in the second one, they're like good people that are trying to figure out what happened to the people in the first one. And then the puppets reanimate Toulon. And then Toulon is the one that's like trying to kill everyone because he's trying to make the woman he loves into a human puppet. It's great stuff.
So basically, there's a whole undercurrent of magic, scientific fluids, magic fluids, plus love, bringing the dead back to life.
Yep.
And conflict. So these are the larger
conflict
themes at play. So we start off with this Japanese lady, Uzu. She's like in an alley, and she's got like a katana, and then,
which is weird to already.
Yeah, and then a car rolls up, and a Nazi gets out. Commandant Mobius.
Yeah, Morbius.
Mobius.
It's Mobin time. It doesn't work as well.
Yeah. And she's like,
yeah,
we don't know what's happening, but we don't know what's going on between these two characters.
No, you sure don't.
So basically, they're sort of in conflict, and she's like, I've got a gift for you in this bag. She hands over the bag, and out comes Driller, and it kills one of the Nazis. And then she's like, the Nazi's like, we have a deal. Your freedom for the bag or the thing in the bag. He doesn't even know what it is exactly.
Not yet. No, but he wants to know, you know.
Then he shoots her in the head and says, "You're free. Death is your freedom. Goodbye. I'm taking the puppet."
Because he's a bad guy, Dan. I don't know if you got that. He's a bad guy. I don't know if she was a bad woman. I don't know anything about her. I don't know why she had the bag. Maybe we found out in 9. I don't know.
Probably figured it out in 9.
But I think I'm supposed to be sad. I don't know.
I think you're supposed to be fairly indifferent.
Well, then mission accomplished, guys. I was fairly indifferent to all of this movie.
Now we go into
that's not true.
Oh, we go into
we'll get there.
The titles and the title music, and the title's really nice. The music's really good. Yeah. And you're like, oh, the music in this movie is going to be good.
Nope.
Then it's not.
That's it. That's the only time you ever hear that.
I was like, oh, somebody's going to score this whole movie.
I am curious if maybe like at some point that's kind of where the theme just kind of stays. You know what I mean? Where they just kind of use the same theme music the rest of the time, maybe? I don't know.
So you're saying they wrote
in
that
the sequels.
They wrote that music at some point and then just kept using it.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's possible. Now we go to this house. There's a girl and a guy. We don't find their names out, but their names are Danny and Beth. And so basically we find out that they fought the Nazis in the earlier movie and stopped a munitions plant from blowing up with the help of this group of puppets.
The Puppet Army.
Yeah, so the puppets that they have are, they've got Leech Woman, Blade, Jester, Pinhead, Tony.
Yes. Yes.
Do you want to talk about Pinhead?
I mean, Pinhead is it's an accurate depiction. All of them kind of have names that describe them.
Yeah.
So Pinhead's idea is that his head, it must be the size of a pin, and then his body is the size of a full-grown gorilla. Yeah. Because it is his he's the dumbest design I've ever seen. Let's just call it what it is. But what's crazy to me is that when he raises his hands all the time, they're huge. Yeah. Like his pinky, just one knuckle of his pinky, bigger than his whole head. Yeah. It's very weird.
I thought you were going to comment that he makes the same expression as you sometimes.
What? What?
That's what Shannon said. She's like, he makes the same expression as Tony. Tony makes that expression.
I'm Pinhead.
Not calling you Pinhead, but she says that you make that expression with your face sometimes. Pinhead.
I believe it.
I
don't know. I don't know what I'm doing and what you're seeing. You know, like what I feel like I'm giving may not be what you're seeing. So it's hard for me to recognize that in another human being / puppet.
So Blade had been at the alley watching the whole thing go down. And then we really get a feeling of how this movie is when Blade, in the series of 4 motions, explains that the woman was there with the knife. He goes like this, the knife. And he goes like this, killed. And then, I didn't see this, but Shannon said she saw this. He does like the Sieg Heil to say that the Nazis were the ones that killed him.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure I noticed that either, but I believe it.
I thought he went like this and just sort of held up his hand. And I was like...
Which would be that's a weird sick, so maybe she's probably right. She's probably right. There's a lot of weird racism, by the way, in the beginning of this movie.
Oh, there's a lot of weird racism throughout the movie.
Well, sure. But we'll get it because the heroes do it in the beginning. That's what throws me off. When the Nazis do it, I get it. Because, Nazis bad, blah, blah, blah. But when your protagonists are just being like horribly racist right off the bat, it's very off-putting.
Grimy Krauts, he says twice at the beginning.
And they say some derogatory things about Japanese people as well.
Yes, they do. They try to accurately depict how people referred to the Japanese at the time. Maybe you didn't need that.
Yeah, you didn't need it. I'll tell you right now.
So the puppets are sad because Tunneler is gone, and I think he said, "Sorry, Ninja didn't make it." So maybe there was a ninja puppet that died in the last movie.
Oh, okay, yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
One of my favorite things, they look over at Pinhead and they're like, "Oh, Pinhead, we're gonna get you some new clothes." We never get Pinhead new clothes, but he needed Pinhead. New clothes.
And everyone recognized it, but there just wasn't time. We got a lot of stuff to do.
Then the girl, she says, we can't take on the Nazis or the Japanese all by ourselves. And then the dude's like, we did it last night.
But then what does she say?
I don't know.
She then retorts and it's like, well, look where we are now. As if like, yes, we won, but we also lost. There's a lot of emotions going on in this room, Dan.
Well, they did lose because Danny's brother got killed.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we didn't see that. Yeah.
So, this is the point at which Blade shows up and does a story. And at one point, the girl, Beth, looks over at Blade and she is thirsty for him. Just once, just one. This one look.
One is all you need, Dan, because that tells stories right there. You know what I
mean? And they make a plan to go and save Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Wow, you're really not going to say anything about this movie, are you?
What are you going to say about that? Yeah, they made a plan. They don't have a plan. They don't have a plan at all. They just say they have a plan. They're like, well, let's go. And we'll just see what happens.
Knock at the door. They're like, who could that be? Bible salesman?
This is my favorite part of the movie, by the way. Continue.
Well, you should talk about it then, because that's about all I was going to say.
That was all you're going to say?
Well, then they get jumped by somebody at the door.
This is the best part of the whole movie. He opens the door. Just hold on a second. This is the best part of the whole movie. This was my biggest laugh of the whole movie.
Oh, your face.
He opens the door,
Yeah.
And he doesn't get tackled. He
No.
gets knocked over, but the guy jumps at him like a dolphin. He uses no arms. He just lunges at him and like flops his body. He salmon runs him and knocks him to the ground. He never wraps him up. He never like pushes him. It's all body on body, just flops on the guy. And it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. I rewound it 3 times and I could not stop laughing. It was incredible. Some great physical comedy, guys.
As to that.
In fact, I think I'm going to clip it out and I'll play it right now so everybody can see it and you can laugh along with me.
It's good stuff. So now we're going to cut to the Nazis. There's an old guy who's the doctor. He's in the secret hideout. You push this brick and the door opens. Okay.
Yeah.
And then he walks in and he's like, there's one room that has this sort of contraption.
Yes.
And then another room. I mean, I don't think there's doors. I think there's just like curtains that they push aside.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. Because they couldn't afford doors. You're not allowed to build doors. You got to just put up curtains.
And so
fire hazard.
Not surprisingly, he has a bunch of puppets on a table also with a little tiny Nazi flag. And I'm like, oh, this must be the dude that made all these puppets.
No, sir.
This is a separate puppet maker who's going to stumble upon the magic of the other puppets and then make his own puppets through the course of the movie.
Yeah. Yep. Now, yep. I mean, it would have helped if we saw the last one because does he know? They all seem surprised when they bring Tunneler back, right?
Yeah.
Or do they know?
These guys are new to the whole understanding that the puppets are doing.
See, that's
stuff.
confusing to me because he seems like he's ready to go. He's pre-gamed. He's built the puppets. He just needs the serum.
No,
but he doesn't seem to know about the serum until this movie.
Yes.
So I don't know why he's building puppets to begin with because that's not I don't know.
Oh, because that's just what he is. He's just like a weird puppet guy.
Oh, okay.
They just assume that there's a lot of weird puppet people out in the world ready to puppet up.
I mean, I know 2 or 3 puppet guys myself, so I get it.
You do. I'm ready to go. I got all the bits and parts.
I'm ready. I'll make a puppet come to life right now.
You give me that fluid, I have things to inject it into. Ready to inject.
Oh, Dan. Dirty Dan.
The hot Nazi lady shows up. Is her name Uchi?
Listen, never once understood the name. Don't care. Totally in. This is the best. This, other than the dolphin flop, this is the best storyline of the movie for a while.
Their love story, kind of?
Yeah. Because what is happening, Dan? You know what? Let's not jump ahead. We'll talk. Yeah.
He's got the hots. I mean, the Nazi lady, she's attractive. She's
smoking hot Nazi. That's what we'll call her.
Chesty, wearing she's wearing.
But then she's also got that power element to her, which that I enjoy.
Which she wields, and I mean, truthfully, other than the accent, she pulls it off.
Yeah, nobody can do a German accent in this movie.
Well, the doctor has like an accent. I think he has an accent, and he sort of. I don't think he's putting that on.
Okay, sure.
I think he's just a terrible actor.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much acting going on in the movie.
So the Nazi lady's like, "You fancy me?" And then he's all
the
like,
answer's yes.
Yes, he does.
Well, he says no at first, and then there's this really weird exchange where she's like, "Oh, you do not fancy me?" And he's like, "Oh, wait, no, I mean, I do. You're very beautiful." And she like coerces him and like tricks him. I don't know. It's very fun.
She's hot and colding him big time.
Yeah, and it's working.
And I wrote down he's making a puppet of her. I don't remember that he was making a puppet of her.
He shows her the head, which is a weird thing to do, and then says, "Do you like it?" or something like that. And she did. She did like it.
So they've got his...
I guess, and so this is where I got a little confused, because if you show somebody you're building a puppet, the only way to get the likeness into the puppet is for that person to die. And then they reanimate you as the puppet. That's how these puppets are made. They're all people that died, and he reanimated them into puppets. So he's chiseled them to look like the human beings. So in my head, having seen too many of these movies this week, this doctor is like, "When I kill you, I will put you in this doll." And she seemed okay with it, and I was very put off. But I guess she doesn't know that's how the puppets are made yet.
Well, that's where the technology of the puppets has changed, and that's no longer the
Yeah.
case. All you have to do is inject some fluid into a puppet, and it comes alive.
Well, that's not how they're made originally, Dan.
God, well, the rules have changed. They've changed the
Yeah,
rules
it's too bad because it's fun.
So he's making the puppet, and then so he's got a family that they've kidnapped and are holding to have control over him.
Yeah, unnecessary.
And so he's there to decode these magic symbols, which I guess they maybe got in the first movie. Who knows? There's magic symbols. And then he's supposed to be making the big device in the other room, which is a thing to reanimate human beings.
Yep.
Making a zombie army. So in addition to puppets, we're making a zombie army.
I mean, but that never really works, so it's just the puppets. Yeah.
Yeah. So she also promises him if he does all this that he's going to get a sexy bonus. He's like, yes, please.
Yeah, I would work so hard. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like it's just give me that little carrot. I'll take off.
So Mobius shows up and he shows that he's in charge of everybody. He brings the pain, and then we're pretty much done with that.
I guess. Are we done with that?
Well, for now, yeah.
All right. I just can't wait to get back.
We cut to the other plot line. We meet Major Collins. He has kidnapped them, and they're in a small office, and he immediately says, excuse the informality. I don't do well in an office.
Right. Which it's his office, though, right?
Yeah, he says that he doesn't do well in an office.
But it's his office. It's not just a office. I'm pretty sure we are in his office where he spends most of his day. I don't understand the line whatsoever.
It's a great line.
But I love it. Good for them. Dan, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Did you watch this on your phone or whatever? How'd you watch this?
Watched it on my computer.
On your computer? How's your microphone on the computer? How are your speakers? Are they pretty good?
I mean, I usually wear headphones so I can hear everything.
Could you hear everything? To me, it sounds like they forgot to mic this scene. There are so many echoes, and it's so much quieter than the scene before and after. Like, I feel like they're just using camera audio because they must not have had money for an audio guy. I don't know. It's very weird, but I had to like turn my TV up almost all the way to understand this scene.
Shannon complained about the audio also.
That's not a good sign.
It's not a good sign.
Not a good sign.
I don't pay attention to that kind of thing, so it doesn't bother me that much.
Oh, Dan. You got to get your auditories fixed.
Because when the Munsters trailer came out, people were complaining about how terrible the audio was. And I mean, I knew it wasn't good, but it's like I don't care. At this point, I don't care. I'm here to see what happens.
I'm here to see. You are the problem, Dan. You're the problem because we have these people out here that make content that are like, you know what doesn't matter? Audio. All that matters is my story and my visuals, and that is wrong. If it's bad audio, I'm immediately taken out because I'm just like, it's not that hard, guys. There's someone that can do that job for you. Just get them.
I'm going to tell you something else, Tony.
I'm going to fight you. I can feel it.
Don't care about the visuals either.
What? I'm only here for the story. I don't care how it's told to me, as long as it's a good story, I'm in. Oh, Dan.
There's this one guy I watch sometimes who bitches and moans about everything, and he was complaining so hard about the She-Hulk.
Oh, sure.
He was like, the CGI is so terrible and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, I like the CGI. It doesn't bother me at all.
Didn't they redo it? I feel like they took a beat and redid some of it after the trailer dropped because people complained about it. So I think they fixed it. Guy, I think they fixed it, whoever that was. I hope he hears me.
But I mean, when you watch it, it's like, is everything she says synced up perfectly, and does... are all the movements looking like it's an actual human? No, of course not.
Well, it's a TV show on Disney Plus, guys. It's not a $18 million movie, $100 million Avengers. It's a TV show. Get over it.
It's not. So
shut your mouth.
Major Collins.
Oh, right. Yeah, we're back to this doofus.
In this movie of bad acting, which is piled on top of bad acting, which is piled up bad acting, Major Collins by far the worst. He's horrible.
Interesting. I don't know. The main guy is also very bad. The boy.
Really?
What's his name? Brett? Dan? What'd you say his name was?
Danny.
Danny boy. I did not like him. He's very mopey the whole time.
I mean, I don't like the character. I mean, the girl's probably the best. the girl, and then
Yes.
maybe the Nazi girl is second. Nazi woman is second.
Well, no, she's first by a mile.
No, I know why.
She's first by a mile.
And then maybe Mobius, then the Doctor, then Danny.
Where's Sarge on this list, Dan?
Oh, Sarge is right above Major Collins. He's after. He's second to last.
I love Sarge.
Well,
Sarge,
I know you love Sarge, but he's terrible. He's a terrible actor.
Sarge is I would believe a literal army guy that they were just kind of called up and were like, "Hey, can you just yell at some kids for a while?" Like, I could do it because he can't act, but I love him to death.
We're going to get to Sarge pretty quick.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Put a pin in Sarge.
So, Major Collins, the dude can't deliver his lines. He messes up some of his lines. You can tell. He says different words.
But did they have to do it all in one take? I feel we're running out of daylight, guys. It's fine. We'll understand what he said. Just move on. Because he flubs multiple times. And you can tell in his face, he knows he fucked up. That's what gets me. Really? If he powered through and was smooth and just like, oh, maybe that was a character choice. But there's moments where he breaks character in his eyes where he's like, I think I fucked up. I'm going to keep going. It's so weird. It's
you
bizarre.
Can see that? That's so funny.
100%. 100%.
Because he definitely says some stuff that you're like, oh, he got that word wrong. So they decide that they're going to tell him the whole story, which I assume is including the puppets.
I don't know, because Sarge is I don't know, Dan.
So we cut back to the Doctor and the machine and Mobius. They've got the machine, which is like this basic tube chamber. The chamber's literally made out of a sonotube painted silver. Do you know what a sonotube is?
I sure don't. No.
What a sonotube is, it's this big tube, and then if you're like making a concrete like pole or whatever, you take this tube and then you pour the concrete in it. Then you peel the tube off and you're left with a concrete tube. And so it has these very particular lines on it. And you
like the swirl. Okay.
So you always know when there's the sonotube. And you're just like, there's a sonotube. You know, and it's like something you just go down and buy at the hardware store.
All right, well, listen, good for them.
Good for them.
Good for them. They should have covered it, but good for them.
They took a sonotube, cut like a door in it, put some hinges on there, put some fake
little
stuff.
Window. It's very cute. Very cute.
Terrible. So they're like, we got to test the resurrection device. Bring in a dude, kill him, put him in the device, resurrect him. He comes out alive-ish, then he just melts.
And he melts. Pretty cool. Not bad. In a movie that's, extremely low budget, I thought these effects were fun.
The second melting effect, much better than the first one.
Yeah, and heartbreaking. So, it was worst night of my life.
So basically, they're going to make a super soldiers. I think Nazi lady's like, I want to play with him.
Yeah, cool.
Tony's like, cool. Sign me up.
Totally, yeah, I'm totally. I'll kill me. I'll come back as a zombie for her pleasure. Here's my thing, Dan. When did you realize this was not a porn film? Because I'm still convinced it is up to this point. Because she's in a different movie.
She's in a
She's in a porn film.
She kind of is.
The sets look like the same amount of money they would have on a porn film, and the acting is even worse than a porn film.
Well, I think that's the situation. It's the same production values, budgets, world. It's from basically the same world. They're shot.
But then we get no nudity. How mad were you? On a scale of 1 to 10, how mad are you?
The next scene with the Nazi, I think it's the next scene. There's an almost sex scene, and it like you're like, oh, okay, well here we are. Here we're gonna push this into hard R.
And we did not.
And we like PG-13, baby.
They totally chickened out, and I was upset. I was waiting for it. I was excited, and they took it away from me.
I mean, is this a PG-13 movie?
I don't know, but what I will say is I watched, as I said, the first 5, and then this one. This is the only one without nudity, Dan. The only one.
So the other one's
the only one that I wanted it in, because the first 5, not great. There's no sexy Nazis in the first 5. I'll just say that.
So is the nudity? Is it just like a 30 seconds of toplessness, or is it like some nudity?
The first one is all topless. There's just like a lovemaking
The
scene
whole
or
movie's
two.
all topless.
It's all topless. Nobody wears shirts in the first one. And then the second one's a little more graphic. And then it's kind of back to just like boobies, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
But they're never, listen, they're never great. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the one that you wanted it in, you don't even.
You don't get it. That's what I'm saying. The one that feels like it needs it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think this movie is 10 times better if we get a little fun.
Yeah. So Mobius like gives the doctor Tunneler in a bag, and he's like, "What is it? A kitten?"
Also, can't Tunneler just drill his way out of the bag? I didn't understand that. He drilled through a man's head. That's his first move when the bag opens. Why don't you just drill through the sack, guy? It's fiber.
You'd think that, is it Tunneler or Driller? I think it's Tunneler.
I don't know his name.
Driller? Tunneler or Driller? We're going to call him
I think it's Tunneler.
I think it's Tunneler. Tunneler is ostensibly the most effective of the puppets, right?
Except for when he's in the bag.
Him and Blade. You know, you put Blade in the bag, Blade's going to cut himself out.
Blade is the MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd think Tunneler would do something, but he doesn't.
He doesn't. He just lives in a bag. It's weird.
The doctor is going to go figure out Driller. I wrote Driller here, so his name must be Driller.
You can't hold on. I'm going to look it up. I'm pretty sure it's Tunneler. You keep going.
I think it's Driller. So we go back to the office where they're talking to Major Collins. They finish the story, and then Collins goes off, and he's like, talks about the doctor, and he says he's saved millions of lives curing diseases.
Hold on. Dozens of diseases.
No. Oh, he's saved millions.
Millions of lives by curing dozens of diseases. I'm going to need some examples.
Put a man on the moon?
How? Why would he be involved in both things?
So then they bring in Sergeant Stone. Sergeant Stone's going to be like their handler. And he says things like, just be there jerking my bopper.
You stole my favorite line of the movie. You stole it, dude.
You want to do it? You want to do it, Tony?
No. It's fine the way you did it. I just want to make sure that we pinpoint that as a high mark because that was very funny.
Jerking my bopper. And
it's one of the first things he says because he comes in and the other guy tells him that he has to babysit these kids. He's like, "What are you jerking my bopper?" And I was like, "Yeah!" Right off the bat, this guy's gonna be fun. Sarge
is kind of like Boomhauer from King of the Hill, but yeah. little more chunky.
Yeah. Oh boy, he's real fun.
So, but basically, the general is coming to town. We're going to find out the Nazis want to kill the general, but he's going to give them special commendation. But Sarge is going to take care of them till then. And he also says, take those turd-eating smirks off of your faces or something.
That makes more sense. I thought he said turkey. I wrote down turkey smiles.
Take those turkey-eating smiles off your faces. Turkey-eating smiles. Okay.
I don't know. I didn't get it. I was like, oh, tryptophan maybe. I don't know. Maybe they're dopey smiles. I don't
know. So we're back to the Nazis.
Great.
Sexy lady is putting the moves on Mobius, but he's busy working.
Hold on. You got to set the scene. She's laying down on the couch in sexy lingerie.
Chaise lounge.
Oh, it's a chaise lounge, even sexier. Good catch, Dan.
She's like moving around.
She is hot to trot right now. She is ready to go, and this guy's reading a book. What is going on in this movie?
He's studying the symbols, which is, instead of studying symbols, he's like reading a book.
Yep. Oh boy.
He talks about how the symbols predate magic and dreams.
Thank you. What does that mean, Dan? How does it predate dreams? I don't even. When is the first dream that we've written down? I don't understand what this means. What a stupid line. I hate the person who wrote this movie.
She mocks him. He talks about having visions of the ancient ones. He says Hitler is a fool, and I'm going to show him. And then she puts on a robe when she gets up.
Yeah, well, it's
and,
over.
and then they're locked in an embrace. And then what happens? Knock, knock, knock.
Knock on the door. You cut it short, you monsters.
Tony's just like, oh. Tony's life ruined
that's
at
the
that
first
moment.
of 3 times that I get disappointed in this movie.
Just think, Tony, we're only 2 pages into 2.5 pages of this movie.
We're doing pretty good. I have a question, Dan. It's not really a question. Why I feel like when we do Nazis, we also when you and I do Nazis,
when we're doing Nazis,
the collective when we do a Nazi thing, I feel like we constantly try to distance them from Hitler. You know what I mean?
Oh, well.
We're like, he's a Nazi, but also the Führer's an idiot. He's a fool. Why do we do that? You're there.
Because we're trying to make this guy even more evil than Hitler.
Okay, right? So he's one ups Hitler.
Mm-hmm,
all right, that's dumb. He doesn't, by the way.
So back to the house. Sergeant Stone's bivouacking in the house. He hits on the girl, talks about sticky bombs.
He doesn't. It's kind of weird.
Got his weird head on.
Kind of very strange moment. I don't know why it's there.
And then he's like, make me some grub. And then Danny's like, yeah, we could use some food.
Some great sexism right there. Sarge tells the woman to get back in the kitchen. She looks to her boyfriend to back her up. And instead, he's like, Get in the kitchen, please. I'm going to need you to make me a Sammy.
Men.
Oh, just throw it away as if it's not a problem. Good job.
Now we do Dinner with Sarge, which I think would be a great sitcom.
I mean, the name is good. It's Dinner with Sarge.
Dinner with Sarge, actually the most real part of the entire movie. This is a good little scene.
I don't remember any of it.
He starts piling on the mashed potatoes and the peas and sort of eating like an animal.
And shoveling, and they're looking all weird at him. That's right. I remember that.
It's this sort of nice scene where these 3 characters actually form into a bit of a unit, and they decide that they're going to go settle the score with the Nazis. And he's not just, he's supposed to take care of them, but, if there's Nazis, then he'll take care of the Nazis.
That's right. I'm going to blow them all up.
It's a nice little scene where you can see these 3 actors feel like they don't have to stand there and give just exposition.
Yeah, for
They've
sure.
been given something to do with their hands. It's like you give an actor something to do with their hands, and you give them like some thing that they're heading towards.
I don't know if we've talked about this it's called busy work, and you need it. You absolutely need it. Otherwise, it's just people standing around and talking, and it looks so weird.
And that's the rest of this movie is just people standing around talking.
100%.
It's terrible.
Yep. Except for Hot Nazi.
Hot Nazi.
She's got some busy work.
So then they take him up. They take Sarge upstairs. They show him the puppets and talks about them being their friends.
Right
before. They're heroes and not toys. Oh.
Yeah. No, okay? It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
What's wrong?
There was a line right before they go upstairs. Beth looks at Danny and she goes, maybe we should tell him the whole story. And I thought that they did that exact same line of dialogue when they were in the room with the other general guy.
So maybe they didn't tell him about the puppets. They must not have told him about the puppets.
But I feel like they said the words, let's tell him the whole story before. And now we're like, well, now let's tell him the real whole story. It's very confusing. I don't understand.
Well, maybe Sarge came into the room after they told the whole story. Actually, he did.
Oh, all right.
So
he wasn't briefed.
He wasn't prepped for the puppets.
All right.
So he comes around to the puppets.
Very quickly. He accepts them very quickly.
We head back to the doctor. He's working on Driller. I wrote with cans in his...
It is indeed Tunneler, by the way. I Googled it. It is Tunneler.
Oh, he works on Driller. And I wrote with cans in his face.
With cans in his face? Are those his goggles?
No, her cans.
Oh.
She's like leaning over in front of him while he's trying to work on Driller.
Yeah, very distracting. Tunneler's dead. I would have cut him right open. On accident, I'm doing this and I look over. Oh, there's some cleavage. Boom, guy's dead. What are you gonna do?
He's looking into the tunneler, and he's like, "There are no gears." Tunneler literally has gears
Has
in his
gears
chest.
everywhere. He was pointing at a gear when he says it with his little pointer thing. I was confused as well. I thought maybe I don't know. Because the chest is open. There's tons of gears all over the place. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I love that. And then he just like sticks a syringe in there and extracts the fluid.
Pulls out some juice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Tunneler incapacitates, right?
Wait, what?
So it's like gasoline to them.
Oh,
where
yeah.
if they don't have it, they power down. Which is weird.
What you should have added, you should have had Tunneler running and like, then he should have pulled the fluid out and Tunneler.
Yeah.
That would have made a lot of sense.
Sure.
They didn't do those things.
No. They don't do anything.
So he's got the fluid. She continues to distract him, and then they start to make out.
Dude, they start to make out hard and heavy. This is when I got very excited, because I think we all hope that when we are 80, 85 years old, there's a young hot Nazi ready to give us one last bout. You know what I mean?
One last shot at the
title. It's probably been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. He just wants one more night of passion before he dies, and they just won't give it to him. And I fault this movie for that.
Mobius walks in, shoots Uchi right in the head. Bang!
Listen, if I walked in on my girl fooling around with somebody who is old enough to be my great-great-grandpa,
yeah,
I'd be a little upset too. I mean, I'm not going to shoot her in the head.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, I guess he can't. I was thinking he could shoot the dude in the head, but he's not going to shoot the doctor in the head.
He needs the doctor, unfortunately.
And then the doctor lays on the ground and cries.
He bawls as if he just lost the love of his life. And this is when I realized that he felt the same way I did.
He was in love
with her. This was his one last shot on this earth.
Tony,
to make sweet, sweet love. And it's been ripped out of his hands.
I think he loved her.
You think he loved her?
Yeah, I think it was love.
I don't think he loved her. I think he loved to look at her.
Some of us believe in love, Tony. I think he
you know what? I'm out on that. All right.
We jump back to the room because they haven't even left the room yet. And the puppets open a music box. We show in the music box there's a thing in there, and then they close the music box, and we don't understand what just happened.
We never understand that. Maybe it's something from the last movie. Maybe it's not. I wouldn't put it past them to have no relevance whatsoever.
Yeah. So Sarge is like, we need a plan, but we should just go do recon. So they pack up the puppets, but they leave Leech Woman and Jester behind. Sorry.
Well, to be fair,
yeah,
neither of them super useful.
Oh,
just throwing it out there.
We'll see about Leech Woman's use later.
We'll
talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
So back to the doctor. He puts the puppet juice into the machine. Then he puts Uchi into the machine, and then she walks out a little, and then melts again.
There was a brief moment of hope.
Tony, you hoped that she was going to be alive. They should have just let her be alive.
Hot zombie sex. I was ready for it because she walked out cognitive. She responded to him at first, and I was like, yeah, they're gonna get it on, and this is cool. He's brought back to life his love. Yep. His love. I'm saying love just, because I want you to feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, love.
But then they took it away again. They just keep ripping it away from me. I'm so close, and then they take it away. It's very disappointing.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
You watch a Friday the 13th movie, everybody's having sex. Everybody's having sex. Doesn't matter if they even know each other, they're just gonna do it. And this movie, it doesn't understand what makes things fun.
So he's like, I gotta synthesize the fluid, and that's what's necessary.
How did he figure that out, Dan? To be fair, I don't know what that means. I don't know. Synthesize, that feels pretty generic to me.
It sort of is. It's in the form of by like if you take something take a
Yeah, okay. I'm taking something. Yeah.
let's say you take some sort of fluid or some sort of concoction,
Okay.
and then
Great.
you synthesize it, right? You synthesize it, you might add heat to it, you might do evaporation.
So there's different ways of synthesization.
Yeah, so basically you're trying to change something's form. So like, with salt, if you take table salt and
Yeah.
you put it in water, it dissolves, right?
I mean, I still taste it, so
Then
I
if you
don't
put
know.
a string on there, that it'll crystallize into bigger crystals than the small salt crystals. It's all
Is
kinds of
that
things.
real?
Of course.
That sounds like a fun science experiment that I'm gonna do later.
Yeah.
So my question remains then: what does he even mean here? Because it's like, oh, it needs to be synthesized with what? How? Why? Why?
Well,
He doesn't know.
probably with heat and with maybe
But
adding.
you're just throwing things out there. You don't know the answer, you son of a bitch.
Well, no, I mean,
Well, no.
all that stuff's in the Snyder cut.
Release the Snyder Cut.
I was watching a whole thing about the Snyder cut.
Oh, tell me later.
Snyder did all those bots, right?
No, there are no bots. They're all my friends. I'll tell you that right now. I was tweeting up a storm for months, Dan.
Yeah, and so were hundreds of thousands of bots that Snyder paid to have.
And also a bunch of my friends. Actually, that's not true. None of my friends agreed with me.
Exactly.
I'll be friends with robots. I don't even care as long as they agree with my opinions.
So he makes the Uchi puppet, the hot Nazi puppet. Her face is beyond hideous.
It's not good. Listen. I wanted to feel like Beth felt when she first saw Blade, which is, I could fuck that puppet. That's how I wanted to feel. And I did not. I was horribly disappointed.
What about if you put a bag over the puppet's head?
No, because the body's also not very attractive. I mean, Barbie's got a great body for a doll, right? This woman did not. And then, the boobies come down. They're not even boobies. That's
instead of breasts, she has a slot where there are machine guns.
Yeah, and that's no good. That should have been like in Austin Powers when they just come out of the nipples. Then it's cool.
Yeah. So basically, she has a metal breastplate that drops down. There's machine guns inside, and they go. So she does that, and then the breastplate pops up, and then she goes like this.
Yep. Oh, this movie's weird.
Oh my god. Okay, so our guys are back. Our heroes are back in the alley because we only have. I mean, how many sets do we have? We have the house, upstairs of the house,
the laboratory,
the bonus laboratory where you have the puppets, which I'm assuming is also where he was reading. I'm sure they just redressed that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And then we have the alley. Is that it? 5? Oh, wait, did we say the office where they met the general?
We did not, but that shouldn't count because there's no audio in that room. So it's not a real
office
set.
Where we met the general, and then eventually and then the major, and then the place where they meet the general. So I think about 7 sets.
Yeah.
It's about 7 sets. But I mean, the truth of the matter is they probably redressed the whole laboratory, and that probably was where they
the office
met the general.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
So they're in the alley. They're like, we've been walking around all night. And then they hear Nazis talking in the loudest Nazi German English. What shall we do today? Oh, shall we destroy Americans?
Da.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, who's da?
I don't know. That's your father.
Somebody says da. Da.
They hear Nazi talk. They go after the Nazis. They start fighting them. Bombshell appears like in a window and machine guns. Pinhead gets hit because Pinhead always gets hit. He's like,
he's very slow. His body's big, his head is small, and he's very slow.
And then she just sort of arbitrarily stops. Their puppets do nothing, and they leave.
The puppets just watch. Blade is hiding behind a trash can, just kind of peeking out, and he does nothing. Nobody does anything, and then she just gets bored. Everyone's hiding. No one's coming out, and I'll just head out. It's dumbest thing in the world. What a wasted scene.
Oh, so they go back to the house, and I think they're sort of fixing Pinhead, and Leech Woman wants something. She keeps on holding up this white cloth and going,
Yeah, she makes weird sounds, by the way. I don't like her.
And we got back to the doctor, and he um, shows all the puppets he's been working on, including Wehrmacht, who is the werewolf, Blitzkrieg, who is
like a robot of some sort.
like a machine gun robot. Bombshell comes back, but she's sort of tired because the serum's not working like it should.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah, it's like wearing thin or something.
Yeah.
I don't totally get it. But the doctor seems to get it, so that's all that matters.
The general shows up. General Porter shows up. The Nazi puppets are waiting. But they
Wait, isn't there one more puppet?
Yes, but we get him later.
Oh, we get him later. Sorry.
Yeah, okay. We haven't done them all.
Copy.
Then we go back to the house, and they're getting dressed up to go to the ceremony to meet the general. And then Danny and Beth have a little bit of a makeout session. Sarge catches them.
And she laughs maniacally. I don't understand the reaction to him walking in the room. But she's like, what's happening right now? I don't understand.
She's got to do something.
I guess so. Someone's got to do something.
They make Sarge put on a suit, but they also don't let him put on a suit in the house. They're like, you got to change in the car.
Got to go out. Yep. Why?
I don't understand that. I don't understand that. It's so weird.
You're not good enough to get changed in the house.
Then we got back to the doctor. He shows the puppets to Mobius, and he's like, and also Kamikaze, who's this hyper racist Japanese caricature that has a bomb on his back.
He's a suicide bomber, Dan. He says, "You've only got one shot." Come on. Well, you can't do that.
What do you mean? I mean, you can't do what's a kamikaze?
No, I understand. I'm saying this entire doll can't happen. You can't do this. It's too much. I can't handle it, and it makes me uncomfortable.
2012, Tony.
I know that's not that long ago. That's not long enough ago for me to forgive you. That's all. It's too soon. Too soon, gang.
So we're at the ceremony. All their puppets are sort of in this puppet section.
Yeah, you know. The puppet section. You guys go over there, we'll come over here.
They get their Medal of Bravery. Danny's like, I can't accept this.
Did he not know what he was going for?
Okay, now hold on.
Okay, yes.
Danny has a bum leg. Do we ever see the bum leg until the end of the movie?
He limps this much when they are in the office meeting the army guys for the first time. When they leave the office, he has a little bit of a limp.
Okay.
But then the rest of the time, he does not.
Okay. Because at the very end of the movie, he limps a few times. And I was like, yes, limp.
I think it's just whenever this actor remembers. Nobody's watching to make sure he's doing it. It's just whenever he remembers to limp, great.
Got it. So he's like, I can't accept this because this is for all those who could enlist. I couldn't enlist. I have a bum leg. I just want to enlist. Please, General, make it so that I can enlist, so that I can be part of the army and not just be a person on the
so that you can be a danger to everyone around you. And I don't mean to be rude.
That's why you can't enlist.
But that's why, like it's a reason, and I'm sure. I feel like we could find other jobs within the armed forces, but you can't, you know.
It's one of the top searched terms in Russia right after they started their crazy draft again.
No.
How do you
to get out of it?
How do you break your own arm?
Oh, I could do that. I could do it.
Yeah, I mean, I could take a bat and I could also give myself contusions, but
contusions.
Okay, so
that's really sad.
Basically, let me join, and the general's like, let me see what I can do. And then they're like, it's photo time, and the photographer comes up, and boom, here comes Blitzkrieg. He's a remote control tank, which they didn't show us before. He just zooms right in, shoots the photographer dead. It was very funny.
It was very funny. You're absolutely right.
And then the leech woman fights with Bombshell. Blade fights with Warmocked. And by fighting, I mean, this is what they did. This is what they did. I'm going to show you the fight.
Show me. Give me an example.
Show you the fighting. Okay, here's one puppet.
Oh, that's almost too good, Dan.
They don't
too
move.
Good.
They don't move as much as that because they don't want damage.
It's much less. Yeah. Okay, there we go. That's it.
We do that for about a minute.
Way too long. It's
way too long. Way too short. It's not enough. Nothing happens.
It's not
way
enough.
too long.
Here's what I'll say, Dan. When I play with action figures, I only do it for about 30 seconds, and then you got to move on to the next scene. You know, because there's not enough you can do. It's all about the story, right? You're the story guy. Don't show me these two dolls just rubbing up against each other for this long. I'm out of it.
So after that 30 seconds, do then you interact with them and like there's the kissing?
Yeah. Well, if to the victor, not to the person that's dead. You know what I mean? You gotta give them their reward for winning. Oh, great job, sir! Great job. Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Then I wrote, battle just sort of ends.
Yeah. As all of the fight scenes do, they just fizzle out.
They just fade into the background. And the general's like, okay, Danny, you get to enlist.
Yeah. Based on what?
Based on him.
Do shit about shit.
The general didn't die. He did something right.
That's true. All right. Great job, Danny.
So we go back home, and they're like, we're no match for them. They have a tank. Little tiny tank that sits on the floor and can kill a photographer.
It's a little dramatic, guys. They have a robot.
Leech Woman, I think this is when she actually holds up the white cloth. She's like, oh.
Is she surrendering?
And then they're like, okay, we're making a new puppet.
They make a new puppet? I don't remember this. Is that weird?
You will remember it.
Okay.
Back to the doctor. Mobius is happy-ish. He seems happier than he's been because they've supposedly figured out the magic.
Yeah.
We go back to the alley. We see the new puppet in silhouette against the wall. Who's the new puppet?
Six-shooter.
Yes, six-shooter. He is a giant cowboy puppet with 6 arms. In each arm, he has a gun.
I guess I didn't realize they made him because I've seen him before. So that's why I'm confused. But this must be his origin story.
This is his origin story. They made him. Because they pulled out the weird head that you couldn't tell what it was. You're like, what is that hideous head they pulled out?
All right. That's real great stuff, guys.
So now the final denouement, the final battle begins.
And ends.
2 Nazis guarding the door. Well, actually, this is the pre-final battle. 2 Nazis.
Okay.
Sarge engages one. The other guy gets stabbed in the leg by Blade. And as he falls on the ground, he gets stabbed in the head by Blade. And then Leech Woman takes 45 minutes to barf a leech into his mouth.
That is the thing with her. It always takes forever. She needs someone to be incapacitated for 3 to 4 minutes in order to do any damage whatsoever, because she has to force the and it just slowly comes out and then drops straight down. So she has to not only be on top of them as a tiny doll, but she just stands there for minutes at a time. She would be the easiest one to get away from, Dan. Just brush her off. Just knock her off and you're done. She can't get you because her leeches will fall to the ground. It is ridiculous. She is the worst puppet.
This guy's already been stabbed in the brain. He's been stabbed in the brain, but to add insult to injury, they have Leech Woman barf a leech into his mouth so that no matter what he's dying.
It's ridiculous.
I was not ready for that. I was not ready for that. I'm just like, what is happening?
She usually gets one moment of each film where she just for a minute straight. Oh, it's so weird.
So Danny just leans on the back wall, finds the secret door catch. They go inside. They find Tunneler. And then this one Nazi walks in. Danny grabs Sarge's gun, shoots the Nazi to death, and Sarge is like, "Now you've zeroed your first Nazi. How does it feel?"
And he gets a huge smile on his face. Danny smiles like the creepiest creep on Creep Town.
We killed a Nazi.
Very weird. You're still killing a human being. I understand they're evil Nazi. And they're bad.
Nazi.
I don't know,
that's
man.
free, man. That's free.
That's free.
You still go to heaven.
Like shooting fish in a barrel.
Okay. Here's the big face-off. The face-off, everybody sort of runs into the room and it's like, we shall get you. We'll get you.
Nobody gets anybody.
Nobody gets anybody. The girl stops the doctor. Six-shooter kills Bombshell.
Yeah.
Mobius stabs Sarge. He stabs Sarge, and there's enough time for Danny to go over there and let Sarge do a death speech.
Not.
I hate death speeches more than anything in movies because they are always at a time where it's like the most should be going on, and somebody has the time for 10 minutes to sit there and hold you, let you put out a death speech, and then get you back to your. It's like, I hate death speeches so much.
Where did the bad doctor go, or where did the bad German guy go? Because he stabs him and then stands up. And then Danny comes over and takes him in his arms, and they have a full conversation. I don't know what the German guy's doing during that whole thing. That's what I want to know. I want to have a cutaway where they're still having the conversation. You could hear it in the background, but I want to see what the German guy's doing. Is he just like getting back ready, straightening up his suit, sharpening his knife to go back in? I got to know.
Six-shooter just then kills Mobius.
Yeah. Yep.
Has a gun on Dan. But Six-shooter shoots him, but Mobius goes down. And he's still got the gun on Danny, and he's all like, probably says some stuff. And then Blade goes in there and bleeds him. Blades!
Yeah.
And then the doctor gives a speech about something. I don't remember what it was.
Just like, hey, I'm a good guy now, essentially.
He's like, hey, I'm a good guy now. And then Kamikaze blows up the lab as they're escaping.
Which, it's so funny. He comes up. Kamikaze comes up. Danny sees him and goes, this isn't going to be good. Everybody run. And then Kamikaze waits till they all leave the building and then blows himself up. What a waste, guy. You really messed up. That's not what you're supposed to do.
So then they just let the doctor go.
Yeah, the doctor's like, I'm okay. I'm cool. And Danny's like, yeah, you are. Get out of here, Doc.
And then he's like, how can I repay you? And then he's like, give me back my gun. He gives him back his gun. It's really weird.
Then the doctor leaves and he pulls serum out of his pocket. And you're like, well, yeah, what did you expect? He's a Nazi doctor. He's a bad guy.
And then he's Austrian, actually.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
And then Beth and Danny make out. And that's the end of the movie.
Just in the alleyway because we couldn't go anywhere else. So they're just doing it in the alley. Jester
did nothing.
He spun his head. You forgot to mention that a couple times.
He did spin his head once or twice. There's some fun stuff. It starts out fun. If there's a lot more killing, it would have been better.
And sex. If there was more killing and some sex, this movie's great to me.
Yeah. It's kind of fun. It's really short. It doesn't kill you. You don't hate the filmmakers. You know what they're trying to do. Short. They do, and you're very happy that it's short. You do not want it longer. Thank you. You
Correct.
do not want this longer.
Yeah. I disagree. I don't know what the filmmakers were trying to do, but I'm okay with it.
Well, I mean, he wants to get into the army, so he has to prove himself to the army guys. Okay. The doctor wants to make a race of zombies,
Sure.
I mean, at the rate they're going, they'll have 12 zombies by the end of the war. Not quite sure how that's going to work.
Yeah, they're going to have to increase production.
I'm glad I didn't watch 5 of these movies.
Yeah, they're bonkers, man. They start weird. They keep going. I want to rewatch the 2018 reboot with Thomas Lennon, The Littlest Reich. How do you say that word?
Thomas Lennon is in it?
Yeah. And I remember enjoying it's super gory. The two things I remember is it's crazy gory and it was pretty funny.
Okay.
I wanted to rewatch it, but I ran out of steam on these things, Dan.
Okay.
It was too much for me.
Do you have that on your Vudu?
I should, yeah.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure. I think
maybe I'll watch that.
Yeah, give it a shot. It's
but
fun.
It's like it's not just like cookie cutter. There's a bunch of ideas that they're sort of exploring. They don't really get around to exploring them, but they sort of talk around them, and
which is why I think it became, I'm not going to say a hit. It's not a hit, but a franchise. Why they kept making them is because they're definitely different than pretty much every other horror movie you'll see. So I get it.
Shannon was like, why did they make so many of these? And it's like, well, why do people like keep putting out albums? It's like, you got to do something.
You got to do something. That's the moral of the story.
And I'm sure the company made a ton of money from these movies.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. Good on them.
So, Tony, tell us about something you liked this week.
I got two things. I couldn't decide what I want to talk about. So the first one I want to talk about is they're a YouTube channel, but they're more than that. But it's called Office Hours. If you are into virtual production or event production or virtual event production, listen to these guys. Every day they talk for 2 hours. They answer questions about
2 hours every day.
Every single day. The first hour is all
not 7 days a week.
5 days a week, Monday to Friday. They take the weekends off because they got to work on their own shit. But the first hour is like audience questions, and you can submit and get answers for your tech difficulties. And then the second hour, they do a deep dive on a certain aspect of the business.
Wow!
Like they've done like NDI. They do the new Zoom ISO they just did, which was a really good one. But if you're into production, virtual or otherwise, it's great. It's very fun. They're a really collaborative group of people as well. You can get on their Discord, and it's pretty cool. Good community.
What is Discord?
How do I? It's like a chat. It's a place to chat. The way that I was introduced to it was for video games. When video games don't have in-game chat, you go on Discord and you can voice chat with your friends or type chat. But then there's like channels, so you can become parts of communities. It's what is Instagram called? What is that called? Social media. It's social. It's like a social hangout place.
What is Slack?
Slack is similar, but it's just like messages. So it's usually used for work because you can have like work channels. So we use it at my work as well. And it's just a place to like, it's direct contact. It's like texting, but quicker. But then they also have Slack huddles now. So you can get together on video or audio. They all kind of do similar things. You know what I mean? Yeah. But they're all great. They're all great for their own thing.
I've heard of Discord, like the one of Magic guys I watch. He has a Discord where they do poker night and stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean it's an easy way to like build a community where it's not like, oh, I'm following this person. It's not like that kind of social media, but there's like you find an interest and then you can join that group and people are there to hang out.
Go to a Discord. You don't have to be invited. You can just go to different Discords and look at them.
Depends.
Some are private.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes you have to be invited. Other times they're just public. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Tell us about. So you watch these production guys. It sounds very interesting. You usually watch them after they've already done the thing. They do them live, and they
do them live at like 7 a.m. and I'm never awake at that time. So I watch it on YouTube. They have that. They're also coming out with an app that you can just watch on the app that'll also allow you to watch like behind the scenes, so you can see how their show is being made while it's being made, which is very cool. There's a lot of great stuff.
What's it called again? I'll go look at
it. It's called Office Hours.
Office Hours. Okay, what else do you have to tell us?
And they're great. And then the other one's real short. Drive Through Records, the 90s pop punk kings that died. There's actually a doc about that. You should watch that. But they are, for their 26th anniversary, they are re-releasing 5 EPs on vinyl. It just dropped this week, and I spent hundreds of dollars on it, and I'm very excited. Just go support them. Wow. That's all. Support them.
No.
Let's bring them back. Let's bring back the heyday of pop punk, everybody.
Well, is it Blink touring or something?
Yeah, who cares about Blink anymore?
Isn't that
they
pop
released
punk?
a new? It is pop punk. They released a new song on Friday, yesterday, for us.
Was it good?
No, I mean, it's fine. It's
It's good.
fine.
Some classic
It's
pop
not
punk.
what it is, so pop, they were like cutting edge pop punk when they came out, right? And now they're middle of the road generic pop punk, which is weird because they raised the bar and now they've kind of settled back into the middle of the group, and they don't do anything like super original. It's fine. It's polished. It's fun. It's just not great. And I miss that.
Oh,
That's all.
oh, don't
It's all
cry.
good. They're all old. Hey, they're doing their thing.
Don't cry for your pop punk, Tony.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Well,
What'd you like?
the final episode of She-Hulk dropped.
Mm.
I'm not going to talk about the episode. I will say that the titles, they reproduced the live action Hulk TV show titles for the She-Hulk show.
That's cool.
And it's just so funny. It's just, they just did such a good job of it. And the sound is perfect and it looks perfect and it's funny. Oh, so good. And then I really liked the episode. I thought the episode was great.
I got to get back into this show.
I mean, it's a confection. It's not like, heavy. It's like what if Marvel produced a sitcom, and it's just a sitcom. It's not, there's no higher pretensions for it. And this episode sort of talks about, what the show is there to do. And it's like, it's not there to make a bunch of, comic book nerdy incels happy. It's there to make like normal people that just like to watch things that are interesting.
The rest of us on Disney Plus.
Yeah. And I didn't realize that the woman playing She-Hulk, Tatiana, she's the woman from Orphan Black, which was an incredible
I didn't realize that either.
Yeah, that's her.
Good for her.
Good for her. New show. And she's just, I watch it for her. She's just great as She-Hulk and as herself, as the character Jen Walters. She's just great in both. And brings a differentiation there that you need from an actual actor. When you hire actual actors to do acting stuff.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yep.
Nice acting. I like acting. So, Tony, you're going to give us our final Halloween-ish movie, which probably is going to come out after Halloween, but it's
probably that's okay. It's worth it.
This is a movie that you said everybody loves, and everybody's like, this is the greatest movie of its genre.
It's a critical darling.
And you said that to me, and you're like, you'll be able to figure it out easily, Dan. Of course, I have no freaking clue what the hell this movie is.
Sometimes when I say things, I forget that you don't watch horror movies. You're right.
And I'm beyond clueless at times with certain things. I'm very astute at some things, but other things, I'm the biggest idiot in the world.
Sure.
So I have no idea what this could be.
That's fine. The way I'm going to set it up is this. I want to read 2 critic reviews. The first is from The Atlantic.
Oh, that's a big magazine.
It says, this movie represents a compelling evolution in how studios and audiences can and should conceive of its monsters. And the second is from Vox, and it just says, see this movie right now.
Is this like the Scream reboot? That's my guess.
I wish it was. Scream reboot's great, man.
Oh, was it great?
It's great.
Okay.
This movie came out in 2014.
Ooh. That's our special zone.
I think the sweet spot.
2011 to 2015 is like this magical Hollywood moment where just
time of a lot of trash
garbage was made.
It was kind of an indie film, I think. Okay. The budget, does it say the budget? It doesn't. Shoot, I'm sure it does somewhere. But it just became a revolution where everyone was like, this is the best slasher in years. Oh. This is going to revolutionize the genre. And I saw this movie and I thought, wow, that movie sucked so hard. And then I read all these reviews the next day of everyone just sucking its dick. And I was so mad. And I find this movie to be the most pretentious horror film ever made. The guy who made it thinks that it's a great film, not just a great horror film. He's an artist, Dan. He thinks he made high art in this piece of shit horror film. And it drives me up a wall. I hate it. I haven't seen it since it came out. So I hope I'm still as angry as I was that day.
I have no idea what this is.
This movie is called It Follows. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of this. Did they remake this movie already? No.
I don't know.
There's
I don't
something.
know.
There's something new coming out with this movie to do with the.
That does not surprise me.
Now this isn't one of the. This isn't like the vampire girl in the. No, that's another movie.
Is that Let the Right One In?
Let the Right One In. It's not that.
Yeah.
I've seen that one. It Follows. I read about this.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a monster that comes after you and then it kills you. Or something.
Yes. Yeah.
It follows after you.
Are you just going off the name of the movie now, Dan?
I read about this at some point. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to talk too much about it. I want you to go in.
I'm so excited
with fresh eyes, so you can let me know if I'm being.
I'm not gonna read anything about it before I watch it, and then I'll do my research afterwards because I want to be surprised. Because I'm pretty sure I read the synopsis at some maybe 2 years ago or something. I read the synopsis.
Here's what I think is going to happen, Dan. I think you're going to see it. I don't know if you're going to love it, but I think you're going to be like, I don't know why you don't like the movie.
Okay.
You'll do the Dan Goodsell thing where you're like, I understand why people like it.
Yeah.
And I will fight you.
No, I'm ready for this. See, this I don't have any emotional. It's like a slasher movie. That's a genre I could care less about. That's why it's funny to me. It's but to you, it's important.
This is my genre. This is where I like to live. So it follows.
Who's the director?
Yeah. Some jackass. I don't know.
Did he do anything else afterwards?
Oh, I bet he did.
Must have.
Bet he did.
Must have thrown some money at this
crew. Where are we?
Schlubbo.
I don't know. I can't find him.
Oh.
I'll tell you next week.
Okay. Well, that'll be fun. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch a horror movie because God knows nothing we've watched for Halloween has been scary or even spooky or even Halloween.
Yeah, it's considered to be scary. His name is David Robert Mitchell. He's got 3 names, so you know he's trouble already. What a piece of shit. I need 3 names. Fuck you, dude. He also did... Interesting. He did the Under the Silver Lake with Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield.
What does that mean? Oh,
it's a different movie that he did.
Have you seen that movie?
Yeah, I liked it.
So you love this guy?
Yeah, I liked it. Yeah, I don't love this guy. No, he's done those 2 movies pretty much.
One you loved and one you coming around to.
Coming around.
Knowing how you are, Tony, you'll reassess your thinking after seeing it again.
Yeah, that sounds like me. Yeah. I'll be thoughtful and I'll leave my feelings at the door when I see it. It'll be great.
And I'll just leave this little teaser in there.
Yes.
The next week after this one, we're going to go back to a classic format, a format we haven't visited in a long time.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
When we watched Fantastic Planet.
Oh, Christ.
This is when Dan Goodsell picks a movie to specifically torment Tony.
Well, now I'd like to change my pick because my pick is also tormenting me.
So that thing that'll be following you, Tony, is waiting for that next week.
It's just
when there's a terrible, terrible movie that is going to cause your brain all sorts of pain.
Is it animated and foreign?
It is foreign.
Oh, boy.
But I think once a year I get a Torment Tony movie. And I think it's time to torment Tony in it right after
I have to get a transcript of the movie so I can read it before I see it.
I've never seen the movie, and so it's going to be...
interesting.
It's going to be... it's one of those movies I've heard about for a long time.
Great. What a treat.
So, I'm gonna be there with you, Tony. But I saw
every step of the way. You're not.
I saw a little tiny clip of it on somebody's thing, and I was like, what the hell is this? I'm like, oh, it's that movie. I don't know if Tony's ready to see a movie like that. So I think Tony needs to be ready to see a movie like that. You might not want to watch this one with your wife.
Oh. Okay. Why? Why? What does that mean? All right. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Is it sexy?
I mean, I think there's going to be uncomfortable sexual elements to the
copious amounts of sex.
No, I don't think that's what
just like uncomfortable sexual situations. Oh, okay.
I think that it's funny. Did you ever see that movie Last Tango in Paris?
No. Nope.
This one teacher in college talked this movie up and talked it up, and then he made us all watch it, and I was just like,
in class?
Yeah, in class. He talked it up, and then he made us watch it.
Weird.
It's like a video class, and it was it was just like so like it was just like lame. It was just like lame.
Sure.
It's Marlon Brando being kind of gross, and there's like this one weird sexual scene, and he thought it was this big thing, and I was just like, it was dumb.
This is dumb.
Okay, so we're gonna.
All right, I'm ready.
It Follows next week, and then Torment Tony the week after that. You're just everybody's set up and ready.
We're really ending Halloween strong.
Come in. If you like what you see, leave us a subscription or a comment or thumbs up, and we're gonna be back next week and every week after that until the seas rise and the mountains crumble and society.
We'll still do it then.
We're gonna do it live, baby. You're gonna have to come to our house because we're all gonna be
around candlelight. It's gonna be great.
We'll all be living in the same house. So
I love it. I can't wait.
We'll see you then.
Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, watch it!